Hi, my name is Lindsey. I am located in Newtown Square, Pennsylvania at SAP's headquarters office. I am currently working on a topic called the future of work. It's all about how work is changing and how businesses, in order to prevent becoming obsolete, they must keep up. Whether it's managing their leaders, their talent differently, looking at diversity in a different way. And also, all of this is really being pushed by technology. So it's looking how SAP can be a credible thought leader and also help guide these people from point A to, the end ideal state of point B. I've learned that it doesn't matter what age you are. It's not a millennial thing. It's not an adult thing. People just want to be able to use the technology to make their lives easier, especially with work. Whether it's some kind of automation of a very manual, long process that was painful before, and now technology can do it on the back end. I think people want more time to really be creative. I've learned that it doesn't matter what age you are. It's not a millennial thing. It's not an adult thing. People just want to be able to use the technology to make their lives easier, especially with work. Whether it's some kind of automation of a very manual, long process that was painful before, and now technology can do it on the back end. I think people want more time to really be creative, to look at business problems, and again, coming back to technology throughout all of this and looking how they can maybe like develop an app or develop a tool that will help that end user, whether it's themselves or a friend, solve that. I also think that it's helped connection. Like right now, for example, like you and I can see each other, and it makes it easier to have a conversation instead of over the phone. I know something coming out of undergrad that was really tough for me to get used to, that headphones on, not being able to see a person because I prefer face to face. So that I think that's like really what's changing a lot of how we work, how we communicate, and how we connect. I would say that companies, they've put in place some of the underlying and the primary, if you will, technologies that are needed. I think that it's going to take a lot more to really get to that ideal state that we're communicating in our future of work messaging. I think that companies realize it, but it's a huge investment. It's not easy just to rip and replace everything that they have. They're starting to realize that in order to retain the best and the top talent, they need to have these things that enable them to work on the go, to have flexible working hours, and to really eliminate those manual processes that I was talking before. But I think that we're on our way, but some companies are doing this really well. It's typically like the startups who have the flexibility. It's more of a collaborative effort instead of like a company, like SAP is great, and we're probably way more advanced for a large company that's been around for a while. But a lot of that has to come from top down. It's really hard because people don't want to say, I'm going to quit unless you give me Skype interviews, like, so it's happening, but I think with the future of work research, I'm seeing it more and more companies are realizing that by case studying themselves, they can put that content out there and really establish themselves as a credible thought leader. I think to get to the dream state, it's going to take a little bit of the loosening of processes and of that top-down communication. Um, I think that my peers, what they really want is they want to be heard. And again, this comes back to not my peers as in the group of my age, but my peers in on a org chart. Like we want to know that we've got good ideas and that people are listening, and that they might be acted on. And I think some companies are starting to realize that a C level doesn't always make them the smartest person in the room. Maybe on the books, but not always creatively. I always little sister, her and I are black and white. I'm very OCD, very type A, very focused on a career, where she is very creative. She's very non-traditional with education, I would say. But the way that she looks at things compared to me is very, very different. And it's those kind of ideas that we have to be more open to accepting. And I think that that's going to, again, come back to a cultural shift, and I think a leadership education shift too. So I think leaders want to do it, but they also need to see examples of it working well. They're not going to put their jobs on the line for a 25-year-old's idea. Not that I blame them. I hope it doesn't take 10 years. I definitely see a frustration, and whether the technologies for the B2B, just working within a company isn't there, maybe not, but it's really hard for me and my friends who have been so used to doing our own HTML MySpace sites. Like we know how to do it and we don't understand why it takes so long to update things like travel expenses, for example, or just like why tools don't work. Like why, I should say it kills you because it's very true. One of the very true millennial facts is that we want things quickly because that's what we've always been used to. It's really hard to try to understand why it can't be just delivered and done when we could give it to one of our like techie friends and they could probably fix the problem within a couple hours. Like I always joke around, especially like with budgets. People are like, oh, well, we have to hire an agency. I'm like, hire an agency? We can go to a high school. Like, these kids know how to do it, and they probably know how to do it better than most. Like, and we don't have to pay them. They don't understand what's really about to hit them, I think. Just being at SAP for a couple of years now, I've kind of started to collect like friends in the software area. So I'm finding other people are just as jaded as me. But then I have a realtor friend, for example. She doesn't even understand what the Internet of Things is. So I think that there's a big disconnect in my group between those who work at advanced companies like SAP and also like, the tech and software companies to people who are taking more of, they work for more of a traditional company where it's just like either they work for a realty company or they just work for a recruiting company. Like the technology really does make you more aware. Working for a technology company makes you more aware of what's out there. So, like I said, I do feel a little jaded because I'll tell my friends, I'm like, how do you not know that this is happening? And they're like, Lindsey, stop. Like, you live and breathe this every day.
Wow.